I do understand that, probably Wi-Fi is a big part of and that remote user connection, especially with work at home now, is probably a lot of my help desk. So if I overlaid some of the Juniper type of this on there, what could they expect to see if they went with the Juniper Wi-Fi platform and the Marvis story?
Yeah, I mean, so like we have a remote work, we have a remote home solution right now. I think really the value in the remote home is really bringing that end-to-end visibility, especially when people are working from their home. If they have a missed access point out there, you know, now it's very easy to kind of figure out what is going on when someone calls up and says they're having a problem inside their house. Same thing, right? You want to be able to quickly isolate it. Is it a device problem? Is it a backhaul problem, or is it some wireless problem going on inside that house? Or is it your internet provider, right? There's only a couple of things that usually can go wrong inside your home type of thing. But that's the visibility that AI ops is starting to bring to the table here.
Yep, that'll make it more critical, I would say. This kind of accelerated it even more, having the more and more distributed enterprise, the value of it.
Yeah. If I go back to your question about 3 years from now,
Yeah.
I do believe that we're going to see AI assistants become more ingrained into IT teams. I think, as we evolve this, we're going to see this AI assistant become kind of a member of the future IT team. I'm not sure it's going to be quite like the Star Trek computer scenario where it's like, computer, tell me, please tell me what's going on here. I think that's where we're headed, where, these AI assistants, you think about them, they're really there to help. If they don't get the answer, they're there to help you get to the data you need to see relevant to the problem, right?
Right.
There's tons of log files and all this other data. You just really want something that gets you focused on the relevant data to whatever scenario you're trying to deal with.
Yep. I guess it's just making sure, people just having to adapt and not get comfortable and always be willing to leverage new technologies for what they're good at and understand what they're not good at and find ways to fill those gaps, kind of like you did with wireless and all these years.
Yeah, and like you say, it's a journey, right? I mean, if you think about the journey that, it starts with the data. First of all, you got to make sure you have the right data to answer whatever question. You got to get that data into a framework, that you can apply some data science to. And then the other key part of this is, what I've been calling conversational interface. You got to get some way for someone to naturally interact with this AI system, right? And that's kind of that's another part of the evolution of, how do we make this thing some sort of natural way, that an IT person can really feel comfortable, training, gaining trust and training, right?
Yep.
How are they going to work with this technology in kind of a natural way that they would work with a new employee that they've hired?
Sure. So I guess there's kind of the two phases of it. One is alerting people if something is wrong, or if you can't fix it, automatically sending an alert and saying, hey, you better deal with this. And then there's also the querying where you're going back and saying, this guy has a problem, can I fix it? So is there a role, there's kind of a role I imagine of alerting and integrating with other systems, and then also the querying role when I want to, now I'm at the surgery table, I want to ask some questions now.
Well, I mean, the good example is like ServiceNow, right? I mean, most of our big customers have ServiceNow to handle all their events and various, kind of the overarching management system.
Right.
We've gotten a good examples where we've gotten Marvis to the point where, Marvis can find bad Ethernet cables, right? So at some point, the IT administrators is saying, hey, Marvis, I trust you. Please generate the ticket, the support ticket to fix it, and send that ticket out. Right. So that's an example where IT teams can start to offload certain tasks, right? Hey, I trust you enough to find bad cables. Don't ask my permission anymore. Just take care of it. And that's kind of the role of an AI assistant, right? Yes, I trust you enough to take care of bad cables. I don't need to waste my time anymore trying to figure that out.
Sure. Yeah, those are they can manifest themselves in a lot of ways if you don't know where to look at first, right? I mean, you can get all kinds of weird connections, and I've seen that enough times over 30 years.
I mean, bad cable is a classic one, right? It's like, hey, that's the last thing on your list to worry about is, is the cable bad? It's like not the most likely story, but when it is, it causes a lot of confusion because it's like, okay, if it doesn't fail hard, then you start getting the weird packet drops that you don't expect to happen.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of those things that it's really exciting where this could head.